Hey, there we go. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to my stream. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is July 17th, 2019, and we're going to write a little bit of code today. How's it going there, chat room? I see. Yeah, there's some discussion about the John Skeet command. It's always, unfortunately, had a little bit of a problem there with AutoMod. Good morning, Copper Beardy, Ultramark, Coded Beard. Nothing else matters. Yeah, have a small question about
Mike_Eaton just resubscribed for 12 months.
Thanks so much. Oh my gosh, 1 year for Mike Eaton. That puts you into the rainbow-colored hat with a propeller. Congratulations, and we'll make a donation to Coder Dojo, just like we are for all subscriptions and cheers this quarter. Nothing Else Matters has a question about the last Friday marathon. Go ahead, you can send that in. Let's hear. Stelzy, good to see you. I think I already mentioned Surly Dev. Hello. Source Goot. Hey, how's it going? Fanny Reinders is here. Hello, hello. Sean. Sean of the Dev. Taking a statistics test may not be a good idea to join it. No, not quite yet. I'm doing pretty good today. Hey, Sean. Good to see you. Chris Jones. Hello, hello. Frackberg. Coding Gorilla. Oh my gosh. Codeman Codes is here. Back with the original name there. Great to see you. Thanks so much. My green screen right here is not quite... No, that's too much. Not quite working out. That's okay. You won't even be able to see it when we change over. And Welsh Ronaldo subscribed during the opening. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Welsh Ronaldo, for the resub as well. Very cool. I love seeing all those resubs. And we're still working towards this follower goal. Look at that. We're almost at 7,000. If we can get that number to 8,000 before September 15th, I'll dye the beard rainbow as a salute to you.
Kraus 4K just resubscribed for 11 months. Hello.
Hello. Thanks so much, Crows. 11 months, about to get to that 1 year mark. Thank you very, very much. So if we get that number to 8,000 for September 15th, I'm going to dye the beard rainbow for TwitchCon and .NETConf. All right. Good morning. Great to see everybody. I've got my this is a Doctor Strange hat on, right? The Eye of Agamotto. If you watch the Marvel movies, if you are familiar with the character, you know that he wears this pendant, the Eye of Agamotto. It looks like that. And inside there is the Time Stone, the power to control time. We're going to do some work with time today and figure a couple things out around our resource management application. So let me get some music started here in the background, and we'll head over to our code. We've got some questions that we need to answer. We've got a pull request to check in, and let's get writing some code today. AutoMod, what? Yes, we are going to poke a hole in the space-time continuum. Absolutely. All right, let's get some music playing here today. Today I'm going to play Orange. There we go. Starts off a little bit slow. Thank you, Surly Dev, for running the music command there. This is music to code by from our friend, Mr. Carl Franklin. It's been scientifically engineered. It's been designed to get you in the groove, to get you focused on whatever task it is that you might be working on. So, check it out at mtcb.pwop.com. You see the link over there in the chat room. Thanks to our friend Surly Dev. And I hope you get a chance to listen to it and you enjoy it throughout the stream today. Thanks so much, Carl. We appreciate you letting us listen to your music here on the stream. So, let's take a look. Good. Let's take a look over at our code that we're going to work on today. This is the resource management application, and this is our list of current user issues. The resource management application it's a application that was designed to help out a nonprofit organization so they can track the availability and help with the scheduling of some volunteers that work at Sebastian's Writing Associates. That's a equine therapy organization that helps teach handicapped, disabled folks, disadvantaged youths, families, give them a little bit of equine therapy. It's amazing what how much kids, folks can turn around their attitude towards whatever their challenge might be when they get to spend a little bit of time learning a little bit about horsemanship. So that's what we're helping out here as part of this session, as part of building this application. And really, the kinds of things that we're working on around time and scheduling are kind of universal. It's one of those classical problems that you find, whether it's scheduling employees for time to work, scheduling delivery of packages, logistics around that, scheduling conferences, that type of thing. 200 bits from Fanny Reinders. Thanks so much for that. I'm going to take note of those bits real quick. Thanks so much. And we will get those in as a little bit of cheer graffiti in our code once we get moving along here and start doing some coding. Thanks so much. We'll make a donation to Coder Dojo. They're an organization that's building training facilities and recruiting trainers all around the world. Thank you very much for that contribution. Side note, do my mic levels change between slightly? I pushed it up a little bit when I changed over here for the music. So it may have gone up just slightly. This is right about where I like to keep my microphone. I can pull it down just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit during the intro, and I also, I think we have the mixer level is the same on both of these. Yeah, that mixer level's the same. It's set across the board. It's just, I get yeah, I'm much more upbeat during the intro before we get into and talking about the application, the things we're working on today. Before we get too far into this, you know what? Let me back up. We can actually look at this. See, the level here is the same. It's just how upbeat I am. I do want to make sure that I call out. Moderating on Twitch is not something that's easy to do. It takes a lot of work. We have some folks that are moderators that come in and they help a little bit here. But occasionally folks sneak in and they do troll, and I do have auto mod turned up significantly. I want to make sure that we automate the moderation and keeping things at a positive, upbeat level here on stream as much as possible. But there were a number of events last week that happened both here on stream and elsewhere on social media that really got to me. It was it wasn't the most pleasant thing to have to deal with. And if anybody tries to tell you that working with social media, working in public relations, working and being a public persona, somebody that's putting themselves out there and really trying to help a community, help anybody that wants to learn technology, in my case, at times you have to deal with some filth. That's the only way I can really describe it. And initially it really brought me down, and as I was going through and reflecting on it and working on it, it was hard. It was not easy to deal with, some of the things that I had to go through there. And I got angry about it over the last 2 days. I got really angry about it. Because that's not the type of thing, that's not the type of organization, that's not the type of production that I want to have. And if you look at the last video that I posted on YouTube, I did some significant editing to it. And I specifically called out that we eliminated the trolls that were there. And it's not something that's acceptable, quite frankly. I don't want my kids to be seeing that kind of thing. I don't want young people who are trying to break into this industry to have to deal with some of that nonsense and some of that crap. So, let me take a look here at the chat room real quick. It sounds louder, especially with headphones. All right. Hey, Johnny Sparkles, good to see you. Thanks for the love emotes there, Sean. Yeah. The bane of being famous, you attract the trolls. Well, maybe that is the case. Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, thank you very much for the kind words. I think talking about 10x programmers is a way to get a lot of trolls. Nature of the beast. Perhaps that is. Yeah. Lil Cold, first time being in here. Welcome, Lil Cold. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get into talking about some software, some code here in just a second. But I wanted to touch on that just because it was something that I wanted to let you know that I'm working on. It's going to take me... It's something that I want to make sure... automating a little bit of the community, while sometimes the auto mod in Twitch is a little bit over aggressive, we're gonna figure out a way to make that better. We're gonna figure out a way to automate as much of that as possible and make it something that makes this environment positive, upbeat, and welcoming. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but thank you. Thanks so much to our new follower. I appreciate you joining us. Look forward to seeing you in the chat room. So let me go back. Let's talk about this project. So this is to help us do employee scheduling. And we've been going through and doing a good bit of work over the last 2-3 months, just getting to the point where we have a user interface using Blazor. That's that WebAssembly first framework that we have that uses C# and .NET code and works great in the browser. We've done a lot to get that working and have a nice user interface. We actually have a pull request here from our friend Sean. What Sean identified as he's been working along with this is that items in the day view where we have the hours going down the side here, if it's longer than the width, the size of that box, it overflows here. So Sean actually has a pull request here for us. Where he's got a fix, and I agree with you, Sean. I looked at this earlier. He put an overflow hidden on this, and it works. So the checks are positive, everything works. So I'm going to merge this in, and thanks, Sean, for the contribution. There it goes. Thank you very much for catching this issue and giving us the simple fix. You know what? The best fixes are the ones that you can say, this was easy. You know what? Either deleting code or writing one line too, and it makes that much of an impact. Fantastic. That's great stuff. Thank you so much, Sean. Really appreciate the help with that. First off, identifying it, and then, oh, I said and then, clearing it out there. So I will close that issue because we have a fix. And then? There it is. There's the end then. You were hoping for a challenge and you were denied. Yeah. You know what? That's okay. Woo! We've got a good fix there. And we'll put more contribution tallies up there on the top, indicating just how much you've been contributing to the project. Thanks so much. Now, I don't know why it doesn't say contributors this week or this month. Even though clearly you contributed. It should automatically go up there. Let me see here. And then? Right, when we accept it, it should just appear up there. And start scrolling by. It was a good thing I switched to this view because it opened on the wrong screen. Nope, it's in there. I wonder if it's because I didn't promote it all the way to master. I like working in feature branches, but it doesn't get promoted up all the way. Last Friday was very helpful, says Nothing Else Matters. I've been in I've been an embedded C in ASM. I'm changing to Visual Studio. Thanks so much. Well, congratulations. Nothing else matters. I'm glad you're joining us with Visual Studio. Welcome. Oh, Sean, gosh, I want to make sure that we recognize and give credit to those that have contributed. So we closed that out. Now there's a couple other issues here. One that was called out, and I want to make sure that we click through because this isn't something I do a very good job of. I just wrote up we need some validation on our domain objects. And Marble Kirby, Daniel here, says you can assign me this issue. Okay, so I did. But we don't have validation rules anywhere. We don't have a minimum length. Phone numbers should be valid for a certain country. I don't have domain rules around some of those things, and we need to define some of those. We also need to define a little bit of what a roadmap looks like for this application. I want to make sure that anybody that does want to contribute, instead of picking up on little bug fixes, is able to go in and say, oh, this is the direction we're going, and is able to help identify and build some of the features leading in that way. Blazor Workshop coming up on Friday. Yes, let me talk about that in just a second. If the users didn't make mistakes, type in things, we wouldn't need validation rules. Amen, Hugo. Just a reminder, yes, Friday, click the events link up above. We will have our Blazor Workshop. We're going to spend the full day, just like we did this past Friday, full day learning all about Blazor. C# in the browser, running on top of WebAssembly. Look at all the hype. Look at all the emotes going flying by. It's going to be terrific. We're going to have a great day together. We'll have a lot of fun telling and digging into exactly how you can write C# and have it run on anyone's browser, not just in Microsoft Edge. It's not a Microsoft-only technology, not in the least. It runs on web standards, runs on Chrome, Firefox, Opera, runs in the new Edge, runs on your iPhone, runs on your Android. So I hope you enjoy it. Not the Portland Trailblazers, Threnan. No. Wow. No. Blazing Saddles. No, not Blazing Saddles either. Blazing Saddles is interesting because some of the commentary, some of the words that are used in there, quite frankly, aren't acceptable on regular television anymore. Even the non-swearing words. So, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. So, oh, I've got a new Twitch shirt. Check that out, right? Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. I was thrilled to pick that up on Prime Day here. Is that Callow Creation? Thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. So we need to put a little bit of business rules around here, a little bit of description as to what kind of requirements we have around our objects here. So, chat room, can you help me out? Can we put some validation rules around these domain objects? In fact, I'm even going to open up. Let's open up Live Share in read-only mode and let you browse over to Visual Studio, my Visual Studio, live while we're working here, and take a look around at the validation rules so we can figure out exactly what it is that we need to declare around our objects here. So, hey, love the peace emote there, Cala Creation. Thanks so much for joining us. Here we go. The link I just posted there in the chat room, that's the link for Visual Studio Live Share. Go ahead and click through and you'll be able to join us here on Visual Studio above here. And we'll see your name, we'll see you wandering around throughout the code so we can figure out what we're missing and what we can add in here. Hugo asks, as far as roadmap, should we maybe have some general items in projects? That's not bad. Okay. We can definitely talk about some of those things. So where Hugo is suggesting is have a general project laid out here, right? So if we have a first project here that is schedule availability. Let's move that. Thanks. Thank you. You didn't need to bring that to the top. Visual Studio, what are you doing to me? Users need to be able to log in and declare their availability. Managers need to be able to get a report of availability for a week at a time, so they can schedule classes. Scheduling classes is not part of this project. A template, basic Kanban. No, we'll even go automated. Managers got to manage. Amen, Hugo. Yeah, this, we don't need that note. Yes, I don't need these. Thank you. And this one, delete that one. Okay. So this is a bug we need to fix. Items in day view stack on top of each other when times overlap. Yep, that's something we need to make better. Feature for manager view. Yep. Schedule exceptions. We're going to need to do that. That's part of a little bit of the calculation we're going to do. Let me see here. Thank you. Let me zoom out just so I can have the cards a little bit easier to read over here. I don't want to do the federal official holidays yet. That's a little bit further out. Validation on domain objects. Don't need as part of this. Adding authentication author, some consideration in security threat model. Yeah, let's bring that in from Simon. We can include that. That's part of the validation. I'm not going to hit that yet. And I think we're done this one from S&B for now. So I think that declares a little bit about what we're working on here. This is what we're working on right now. And this. Okay. So I think that sets up what this is for now, this project. But Triad T, good morning. Oh my gosh, look who's here. There she is. Make sure you check out, can we get a shout out to Triad T? Make sure you check out, that's our friend Ruby. I'm even going to key that in. There you go. She does, she makes all kinds of tea blends and very interesting things to help folks that are looking for something unique in teas, in pottery and stuff. Love the hype. Thanks so much. I'm a little congested. I don't know where that came from. Excuse me. And we were helping Ruby with a little bit of the bot that we were working on. It's not the project we're working on today, but it's a project that I am doing work on in the background here because we're doing a little bit of yak shaving at this point to get things lined up and working properly, and we'll come back to it later. If you like listening to music like this and you like watching stuff that's soothing, kind of relaxes you, watching Ruby with the pottery that she's working on is always neat, and I find, relaxes me at the end of the day. Really cool stuff. Thanks for the hype, little cold. Yeah. So, gosh, Ruby, where is it? Where's the next convention that you're going to be at? Is it Gen Con in Vegas? Is that the next one? Let's make sure we get a mention for where you can next find Triad T when she's out and at a convention sharing some of the cool crafts, teas, pottery that she works on. So when we're thinking about this application, scheduling folks, we've gotten past, once we have schedule availability, something that I want to think about beyond that is I want to build a schedule board. Now, actually, we need to be able to schedule classes, right? Managers need to be able to schedule classes and assign staff to work those classes. Yep, and we'll make that another automated Kanban. I'm gonna have to delete these notes again. Yeah, right? Like, why do you keep asking me this, you know? Like, I know how to use this. Thanks. I added it. I don't have any cards defining what this is yet, but we'll figure that out, right? I've got a project defined. That's something that we need to figure out. I think when we're done that, I want to build a schedule board. No, I'm not going to be following you. I want to write, it would be awesome to build a physical display that uses a Raspberry Pi or a similar IoT device to display today and tomorrow. Display today's schedule. Let's start with that. At the facility, right? So I'll set up automated Kanban for this as well. I don't know what all's involved with this yet, so I'm going to just leave this out here. And I encourage you, if this project speaks towards you, if this is something that you're interested in and want to help define some of the direction for it, go ahead and create some issues. We can assign them to the projects and figure out exactly where we want to go with this. That last piece, that physical schedule board, I think is something that's going to be really amazing. And I think there's also a communication piece that'll be built here at some point. But I don't want to go too far down into that. Get the 30,000 foot view of what we need. Yeah, get really high up. Look at what the big picture is on these, and we can start to fill in some of the details. B-Secker, you keep joining and leaving here. And I'm very close to turning off the live share here. Let me put on the project here. Working on time management and employee scheduling in the resource management application. In our resource management application. Okay. Hey, Svava. Good to see you. There's Svava Blount. There we go. Welcome. And I've got the project defined. All right. So, taking a look and thinking through what are the domain rules that we have on these, right? If I put this over here, there, right? The question was where to go? Right here, this one. So what are some of the validation rules that we need on these objects? Let me close all these for right now. Let's open some of these. Recurring schedule exception, sure. Schedule item, time slot we don't need. All right. So there it is right here. So thinking through what some of these things are and what kind of domain rules we need. Right? And let me make sure if you're interested in joining, if you want to join the live share, there's the URL if you want to jump in. So what kind of rules do we need? Some initial rules that we can implement. I like that Marble Kirby already has cron validation defined here for it. Let's see. Given name and surname should be required. Let's do this. Should be required. At least one person type should be defined. Right, so you need to be at least either a volunteer, a trainer, something, right? You need to be assigned a person type so we can know something about you. Phone number is required. I don't know about the format yet, but at some point we're going to need to be able to contact you. What if a person doesn't have a given name and a surname? VS Live Share is crashing. Oh no. So like Bono. When share or tell or volunteer, we'll deal with them. Yeah, we'll figure that out. We can just put an underscore for the other name or something like that. For right now, everybody that at these organizations, they've got both. So that's not too much of a problem. And I don't want to specify a format yet for the phone number so that if they don't have a phone number, you can just put dash or something there so that it's not a valid phone number, and we'll do something to detect that later when we actually hook up some way to do notifications, right? You know what, I'm just going to do that. Notifications. We need to be able to notify via text message, email, other mediums, or other mediums. When there's a change in the schedule. Yeah, let's just start with that. Right? And what I'm thinking about is something like a snow day, some weather-related change. Maybe there's the student isn't able to make it for some reason into to their appointed schedule. There's different things there that we could figure out, and we'll define those later. We'll figure out exactly what those requirements are going to be. Let me take a look back here at the chat room. Ruby's going to be at Gen Con in Indianapolis. That's the beginning of August. That's about 2 weeks out. Then Dragon Con, that's the end of August in Atlanta. I keep looking at Dragon Con and wanting to go to that, but it's the scheduling just does not work out, even though it's over my birthday. The scheduling doesn't work out. Fritzbot, surname is Fritz, and the given name is Bot. There you go, Janescu. I like that. That works for me. Right?
People know me.
And they know the Fritzbot, too. So, person, I think that's a simple set of initial requirements here. If we take a look at recurring schedule, all right, let's think about what a recurring schedule, right, this is that data type that we've been working with. It says, this is schedule. I'm on schedule item. All right, fine. We'll start with schedule item. Schedule item is something like, I've got a doctor's appointment at this time. I've got a haircut at this time. You know, I've got a whatever, right? That one-off appointment. Status is required. Let's just say required fields. Status, name, start date, time, end date, time, and duration. Well, duration is calculated. Yeah. And we've already got a validation there that says the end date must come after the start date. That makes sense. Name, max length, I don't know, 50 characters. I think that's enough to get started. What else do we have here? Bodie McBoatface. Yeah, we can do that. Name format cannot amount to something-y mix something face. Yeah, I agree, right, Hugo? That's not bad. Okay. So that's what a schedule item is. Maybe, you know what? Maybe there's something here where we can say like minimum duration of 10 minutes. You know? 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, maybe half hour. Maybe. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing your name right there. Is that Kareem USA 60? Welcome, Kareem. This is .NET Core. Yes, we're using C#, and we're gonna be doing some math with times here in a little bit, so that we can facilitate a little user interface we've been building. All right, let's take a look. No, you cannot be Surly McSurly face. Surly dev. No. Schedule exception is the next type that we're looking at. We're putting some domain logic around, some domain rules around these. Marble Kirby has asked for a little definition around what these are, and they're going to help building some of these validation rules for us. It's good to kind of declare and have some definition around these. Of course, start date must be before end date. Right, start date and end date are required. Name is required also. Let's add that up here. Start date must be before end date. Minimum duration a day. Of 1 day. A schedule exception is a way for us to punch a hole in our recurring schedule. For us to say something like, you know what, I'm going to be out on vacation Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. I'm going to go away to the shore. I'm going to get away to the Caribbean, go to Hawaii for the weekend, whatever that vacation trip might be. A way to punch a hole in my existing schedule and say, there's an exception here because of this. So, start date can't be in the past. Well, Hugo, I don't know. McCamel Dota, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. If the start date can't be in the past, then we can't change the name of it for something that occurred in the past. Creating these types of things in the past, right? Punching a hole in my schedule in the past is okay, I think. DevLead.
We just got a PR to execute all integration tests successfully.
Woohoo! Congratulations, DevLead. Big ups to you, getting a PR pushed through there, and we'll make a donation to Coder Dojo. I'm gonna record that as we start writing our code here. I'll be sure to record that as a little bit of cheer graffiti. Thanks so much. Wow, Demon Rage, that's a great question. These requirements, when are they going to be verified? When objects are created through methods? I think these validation rules should be applied during any kind of save operation. So both create and edit. That we can apply during create and edit operations. Good point there, Demon Rage. Thank you for pointing that out, that we want to declare exactly when we apply these validation rules. Okay, so I think that's enough for schedule exception. For our schedule, there's nothing. Our schedule is a top-level item that defines the relationship between schedule items, recurring schedules, and schedule exceptions. Recurring schedules have a schedule ID, a status, a name. So, and a recurring schedule is, right, this is that thing that you do every week. Oh, I've got yoga class on Mondays and Tuesdays at 9 a.m. I've got bowling night on Wednesday evening. Whatever that recurring thing is that you do every week, this is how you define it, is with a recurring schedule. And this is how elite a developer we are here in this group, okay?
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think, McFly, think.
Yes, think. If we're defining a recurrence pattern, something that happens regularly, we know how to do that. As technologists, we do that with cron schedules. The machine knows how to read and interpret a cron schedule. That's that little block of text that defines a recurrence pattern. It's something that recurs every now and again in time. So let's just use that, and that's what we've got right here. So we have a way to use that. I think we need to say the following required fields. Let's actually put that same format here, like this. I think we want to name. We should have a cron pattern required as well. Duration is definitely something, because a cron pattern just says every Wednesday at 6 p.m. is bowling league night. Okay, well, how long are you at bowling league? Is it an hour, 2 hours, 45 minutes? How long? So we need to capture that duration as well. And the min start time and the max end time they should also be required. These are the boundaries around that. Great, you've got bowling league on Wednesday night, and it starts at 6 p.m. and it's for 2 hours. Bowling league is for the fall, so it starts in September 1st and it runs through November 30th. Those are the boundaries at which we're going to apply this pattern. So that's what we'll have there. Of course, we need to say min start date time must be before max end date time, right? We also want to say we should have a minimum duration of 30 minutes. Let's see, what else? Cron pattern must be a valid cron pattern. And that we're kind of enforcing because our data entry, let's face it, outside of the tech industry, folks don't know what cron is. They wouldn't know how to formulate what a cron definition is. So we want to give folks that are using this system a great user interface so that it generates that cron pattern, that definition, and they don't have to think about it. It's just stored that way. When started, you can edit it before it ends. That's a good question, Janesco. Can you edit these and change their end date time? Maybe. Is that Trent Hi Kim? Thanks so much for the follow, Trent. I appreciate you joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. That's not bad. Cron patterns are like regular expressions. Yes. Oh my gosh. Regular expressions. They're tough. They're tough for folks to follow, and folks need kind of cheat sheets to figure those out. I think that's good to get us started here, to give a little definition as to what some of these requirements are, and putting a little bit of a roadmap behind some of this, I think, is going to help give folks a little bit of definition. If you want to chime in and help out here. All right. Regex, which syntax are you asking about? Because, yeah, they are all a little bit different. Going to be back early from the trip. That's not bad. So, that's a good question. There's around when can I edit some of these? Can we let's open a discussion item on that, because I'm not sure about that, and maybe there's an opportunity here for when we finish this initial project. Let's present it. Let's take some time and present it to the organization, and maybe we can have somebody from Sebastian leadership join us and talk through some of these business rules that we want to define, so that for the next sets of projects we can put a little bit of logic around it. Oh, maybe, oh my gosh, maybe we can do an IRL stream and actually go on site and walk around and see some of the horses in some of the facility. That might be fun. So I'm going to just create a quick issue here. Can schedules be changed while in progress? And I'm going to mark this as, I think there's, you know what, we don't have a discussion label. I'm going to mark this as help wanted, a question. I want to have like a discussion label. Centurix71, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. Yeah, Ultramark, you know what? All right, I'll just stick with the... Oh, nuts. I'll just stick with the question label there. That's fine. Okay. But I'll put help wanted question, and that kind of facilitates a discussion, I think. Let's put this in the schedule availability, because I think this is something that we should discuss as part of that. I checked it. Why isn't it? Check. Yes. Ah, thank you. Can a recurring schedule schedule exception, and that's that, oh, I'm back early from my vacation. Let's start with those two. Be changed before their max end time expires? That's a good question. I'd love to hear your feedback. What your experience might be, chat room, in other systems, and when you think about scheduling, maybe some work that you've done in the past. How does that work? How do those other systems behave, or how do managers handle when you say, I'm back early from vacation, I'd love to help out on Sunday, that type of thing. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback in this issue. Let me copy that and drop it there in the chat room if you're interested in commenting on that. No pressure to comment, but I'd love to hear your experience working in those types of scenarios. Is that something that we need to explicitly handle? Do we leave it wide open and say anybody can change this whenever they feel like it? I don't know. And yeah, that might be a good question for our customer. Good point. Very good point. All right. So I think we've done enough to get moving here around some of the domain definition. I think we need to do some math now.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some math. So I have the project cloned. I have it running here locally. I need to pull in the... No. I need to pull in... Come on, there it is. That change from upstream that we got from Sean. You make me sad. Like that. It's going to ask me to do the thing to log in now, isn't it? There it is. I want to get a Yuba key so I can automate that thing. So, the answer is 42, says Hugo. No. No. No, no, no. Codeman Code says, the way my company deals with it, you can change it as long as it's not in the past. Okay, that makes sense. Gonna use an abacus along with all 10 fingers and 11 toes? Been thinking about a Yuba key also. Let me make sure, let me float this out there. I am not sponsored by Yuba key. I think it's Yuba Co. is the name of their company. This is not a promotion of them, but this is a tool that you can use. It's a physical token that you can use to store your logins, to store two-factor authentication on it. It's a physical piece of hardware here, and you can actually put your GPG key on it. So that you can plug it into a USB, and it'll do the login. It'll help you with the signing of things. You key in a pin to the YubiKey, and it automatically will do your LastPass authentication, your OnePass authentication. You see me key in my password for GPG every now and again, but it'll automatically do some of those things for you, and I'm thinking about getting my hands on one of these. Frackberg wants to get their hands on a USB-C version. Yeah, there's definitely something about a USB-C version. My problem with considering a USB-C version is I don't have USB-C on my desktop at all. I've got plenty of USB 3, and I've got a 10-port USB hub sitting here in front of me. So I've got plenty of USB-A connectors. Part of me thinks, order the USB-A and get it. NFC support as well, yeah. So you can use it with your Android phone as well. That's pretty cool. So, I'm thinking about getting my hands on one of these. I need an expansion card, says Sean. Maybe. I've got 2 slots for it. I could drop one in there. So, it's a definite possibility. So that change from Sean is merged in. Let me open back up Solution Explorer, and let's talk about some of the schedule calculations we have to do. And I think we need to write some unit tests along the way here so we can be sure that we're properly doing this these schedule calculations. Frackberg says everything they own has USB-C now. That's awesome. Yeah, my desktop doesn't have it here. And I can definitely get an adapter to go from USB-A to USB-C, but I'm not quite there. Devly just ordered a 10-pack of YubiKeys. Nice. That's impressive. Yeah, there's definitely something can be done here. Okay, so there's 2 calculations I think that we need to start addressing here. You've got a problem carrying extra stuff with you, Codeman Codes. You should see the bags I carry with me now. Because I now have the Intel NUC, and it's on. So I've extended my desk here. I've got a table set up next to my desk that goes all the way over, and I've got my Intel NUC over here. And this is going to turn into a this is going to be a video station over here. So I have my development over here. I can do video over here. And if somebody wants to help me, if my wife, if somebody wants to come in and work, I'll be able to have them work over here on video strictly and be able to run OBS and all my video, Adobe Premiere, all that stuff over on this workstation next to me. So I've got that set up, and I'm trying to get things happening over there. But running, that's got plenty of USB-C on that thing, so I would be fine with that. But I don't want whoever's over there to be able to access that stuff. And I've got USB-C to USB-A adapters. I've got plenty of those. So it's an added 2-factor security layer. It's not a password chain so much as it's a pin that'll help you unlock several different things. Several different applications. So VPN is good. Yep. So hey, Nick Larson, what's going on today? So we're about to do some date and time math. And this type of business rule, this type of time calculation, I definitely want unit tests around. So I'm going to make sure that we have our live unit tests running. I'm even going to, I grabbed the panel too early. I'm going to grab just the live unit test panel, and I'm going to pin it to the bottom of the screen here so that we can see when our unit tests are running properly right here. So you can see, right, live unit testing is a feature of the enterprise version of Visual Studio, but we'll be able to see exactly how many are passed and failed as we write code. It'll run those tests and make sure things are working properly. And you see that the checks and the minuses here in the gutter here. Check means that this line of code was tested and worked properly. Minus means that this line of code wasn't tested at all. So Time to call the John Skeet. Indeed, John Skeet is an absolute. He's a go-to person when it comes to time zone calculations. I'm just going to be doing simple time calculations around working with our schedules and calculating how many folks are available across time. So, for more info on what it does in general, check out Fido. Yes, Fido and Fido 2. Chris Jones has a question. Is my Stream Deck plugged into my hub or direct into my desktop? Keep having an issue with yours disconnecting, going into a persistent sleep state until I restart the hardware. Waiting for Elgato support to get back to you. I think I saw your question about that. So mine are actually plugged into my USB hub. Now my USB hub that I have here is powered, and because the Stream Deck does take a lot of power, and the Stream Deck, there it is. That's what it looks like. There's the Stream Deck. This is the 15 key one, the original Stream Deck. And I've got 3 of them sitting here in front of me, so I can control all the sound effects and the video and all that stuff. But these are plugged into the powered USB, and the powered USB is actually plugged into a USB 3 or 3.1. It's plugged into the high-speed USB over there. I think it's a USB 3 on the desktop. That way, I'm sure I've got plenty of bandwidth from my USB hub going in there, because I also have my wireless mic plugged in there. I don't have the wireless mic on today. I didn't want to do any voice changing today. But 3 Stream Decks, the wireless mic, what are those 2? Oh, mouse and keyboard are all plugged in there, and I still have 4 more ports to plug in with. You have a powered USB 3 hub, which is plugged into, and not all ports are in use. Yeah, so you should be all right. Mine go to sleep after a long period of time. To finish the question here about the Stream Deck, if I open up Stream Deck, right, there's my Stream Deck. There's configuration that you can put behind this to tell it, each individual device, how long you want them to go, how long until you want them to go to sleep. So if I don't use it for 2 hours, it will go to sleep and turn off and go back to that screen. So you can make this whatever duration you like. 2 hours is about right for me. And yes, those are my sound effects that I have queued up right now. Like,
it's illegal in 9 countries.
Yeah.
You can do it!
So, love my Stream Deck. Mouse and keyboard go through a hub and no issues. Nope, no issues at all. Trying to figure out if mine may be faulty. They've requested further information. Cool. Glad to hear it. Best of luck with you on that. Okay, good. I have a couple of interviews that I've been asked to do that you should see pop up here in the next few weeks. So, you still need to set yours up. Triad T. Make sure you set up your Stream Deck. Oh my goodness. Can I show you one thing real quick about my Stream Deck? I love this device. Check this out. I just set up on it. Hey, open there. Thank you. So this is my right Stream Deck. I just set up. I can control my lights now from the Stream Deck. How cool is that? So I can make them brighter if I'd like. I can make them dimmer. Isn't that so cool? Yeah. Aziz lights. So I now have a button that I press that turns on all my lights when I go and start getting ready for the stream. All right, let's talk about some time calculations here. Let's get into this. Enough talking about some of these other things. Isn't the Stream Deck supposed to be set up constantly, fiddle with it constantly? Yes, it is. I'm constantly fiddling with it because I'm adding new features, adding new sound effects, and I don't want to freak out while I'm in the middle of presenting here. I want to actually, be productive. So I want to talk about a couple things here. I don't think when we built our unit tests around expanding schedules, right? An expanding schedule, we did not do anything with schedule exceptions yet. So we need to talk about those schedule exceptions. The hey, I'm going away for the weekend exceptions, right? Next week I'm out. I have my kids have a whatever that I need to be at, you know. Surly Dev says, I want a Stream Deck just for shortcuts, launching apps, etc., not necessarily for streaming. It's really good for setting up macros, things that you do regularly, and you can chain together keystrokes, launch apps, these types of things, and put time delays in it. Really cool to be able to do that. I even have a little 6-button one here that I have some of those things on. I even have a clock on it so I can see how long we've been going. Macro keypad, yes, right? Be able to automate and be able to do different things. You can even tell the Stream Deck when this app has the focus, change to this profile. So maybe while you're in Visual Studio, all of your Visual Studio macro buttons appear. Cool stuff like that. And of course, we built the library for .NET developers to build your own features into the Stream Deck. All right, enough about the Stream Deck.
Squirrel.
Let's get back into this. So, expanding schedule. So we have that schedule that says, right, I can say things like, oh, I'm available every Friday from noon to 6, but I'm going to punch that hole in the schedule that says, well, on this weekend from Friday through Sunday, I'm going away for a vacation. I'm taking the weekend and going to the beach. How do you do that? How do we calculate that? We need to make sure that that piece of our calculation works, and then we can do the manager calculations that show how many folks are available when we expand all those schedules. I'm waiting for somebody to press the end button. Why am I so congested? This is terrible. Oh my gosh. All right. So how do we... Let's start with the schedule exceptions. So we have when expanding schedule, given simple recurring schedule. So let's set up another folder. Right. Given given schedule exception. Right. So we have a schedule exception, and let's create a class in there. When expanding schedule. And let's also not just set this up. Let's also set up a public abstract class and call this base. Let's call this simple schedule exception. Haha, yeah. And I'm going to set up a schedule exception. Come on, give me the... There we go. All right. The weekend. Yeah. So if I want to say I'm not available over the weekend, we can do that. I have seen people use Stream Deck for help with not just Visual Studio, but help with other art programs, CAD. I can imagine you'd want to be able to use it with Photoshop, maybe even Premiere, to be able to automatically cut and do some of those things that you would have to use hotkeys to go after. Just have it queued up so you can press the button while you're editing. I have a Surface Dial that I want to use for that also. Having those debugging shortcuts in Visual Studio or the Find Next when in Win merge, that sounds like a great time saver, says Surly Dave. Yes! I think there's a great opportunity for the Elgato folks. And I hope you're hearing me, the Elgato folks. Very nice. Thank you so much for the follow. Hey, Elgato folks, I think there's a great opportunity to really promote this as a macro keyboard for folks that are creators, not just streamers, but folks that are using Adobe Premiere, Adobe Audition, Camtasia, Visual Studio. Choose your favorite code editor and be able to automate some of those tasks. I think there's a great opportunity for being able to do that. Maybe even automate some of the things that you do in GitHub frequently and some of the hotkeys that you have there. And that's actually something maybe you can export as a profile, because Stream Decks are their profiles. Maybe there's a profile of all those macros with some cool images that you can export, and maybe there's a repository of those for creators, those profiles we can make for creators out on GitHub that folks can use. Let's come back to that. Stream Deck profile repository for creators on GitHub. Maybe there's something we could do there. Made with profiles for different streamers? I don't know. Is there, Hugo? To use their emotes? I don't know. GitHub shortcuts, open notepad for commit messages, show icons for doing merges. Yes, early dev, yeah. Let's come back and talk about that on another stream. Maybe we can talk about that tomorrow and just do like exploring the Stream Deck and doing some cool stuff with that, and make a little bit of a community around some of that stuff. So let's define what the weekend here is, and then I'll drop in, yes.
And then?
I'll drop in that cheer graffiti.
And then?
We'll write a test to make sure that this expands schedules properly.
And then?
We'll make sure that the test passes.
And then?
We'll fix the test.
And then?
Break the test.
And then?
Write another test. And keep right on going. A 2-hour stream about setting up a Stream Deck and doing some of the stuff and setting up a little bit around it. Yeah. Have my webcam looking at my Stream Deck overlaid over the background view. I need to have a second camera. Fortunately, I have a second camera about ready to go, but I need to move things around because I've got to make room for the tripod that we're going to mount it on. Only 2 hours.
Oh my.
I think that might not be enough. You know what I'm saying? Good. I'm glad you agree. You made a bit of a start of something like that. Live Coder Stream Deck profile Twitch commands. Cool. That's pretty cool. There we go. All right. So what's the weekend look like? Well, we're going to return a new schedule exception that breaks through the weekend. And we should define what the start date and end date for the weekend are, right? Begin exception date. And I'm going to by default say new date time. Let's look at the calendar. Let's say July 19th through 21. Right? 2019. No. 7/19. So we have a default for that. Thank you. And we'll say the end exception date is through the 21st. So we've defined, here's the begin date and the end date of our exception are those two. So I can say now, we have a new schedule exception, right? I could say the start date time is the begin exception date. The end date time is the end exception date. This way, right, we can, for our unit tests moving forward, we can expand this, make this as much as we need, or just use the default here. The name for the exception is, what's the name for the exception? The weekend. Something like that. Okay. So I have the weekend, and it's called the weekend. Good. Let's see what Chris Jones has there. To issue commands on each broadcaster's channel. Oh no. Okay, that could be fun. All right, so I have a simple, here's what the weekend is. Okay, so I'm gonna move this into another file. So it's out of the way, we know what that is. This is going to implement a simple schedule exception that we're testing. So now I can start writing a test that says, well, let's inspect those things. And let's do this based off of some of the patterns that we have already over here that we've established. I'm not going to do multiple recurring schedules yet. Okay. I'm going to bring in all of these objects that we need. Argus the Argonaut, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us and look forward to seeing you in the chat room. So that cron pattern, I forget what that says. What's that cron pattern say? It's like every day at 3 p.m. Do I have that right? What's that cron pattern? Right there was, what was it? Cron tab guru. Here we go. So I can key that in there and it'll tell me what this is. Get rid of the quotes. There we go. At 3 p.m. on Monday. Well, I don't want it at 3 p.m. on Monday. I want it at 3 p.m. every day. I want it every day. So I guess that's it. Is that every day? It's not. Yeah. Right. If I say. Right. I could just say star, and it just says yeah every day. Right. Next at 3 p.m. today. Good. So let's use that. So we'll change this. Not that one. And we'll take a look at what those schedule items look like. I'm going to change this to star. Let's put a note next to this. At 3 p.m. every day. All right. Public void should remove time slots over the weekend. And I'm going to mark this as a fact. Fact, this is a little attribute that we put up here that tells our unit test framework this is something you should execute, and it's a test inside of here. Now let's put in those cheers. Alright, so I've got 200 to start with from our friend Fanny Reinders. Thank you very much for that. Today is the 17th. There we go. And one more bit of cheer graffiti. That's 100 from our friend DevLead. Thank you very much for that. There we go. Alright. So, let's make this real simple. We're going to do assert, arrange, act, and assert type of construction of our tests here. This is a typical way that you would set up tests, and when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. We're going to arrange everything that we need for the test. We're actually going to act out the test. Act, do that thing, and let's see what happens. Assert, verify the test ran properly. Assert that everything behaved the way that it should. There's a few projects for building cron expressions in C#. Yes, there are. But we're not building the expressions in C#. We're consuming them. And we do have one of those NuGet packages actually inside of our scheduling project here. We're using Cron Espresso, there you go, to actually expand out what that schedule is, to turn that into real times for us. And that's what our schedule manager here does. It actually does, right in there, we're initializing it. It actually calculates the schedule. So my schedule, we have a new schedule with a recurring schedule there. What I need to do here in the arrange is I also need to take my schedule and take these schedule exceptions and add to it the weekend schedule. Right? So that kind of makes sense when you read it, right? We're going to take my schedule, and among the schedule exceptions, we're going to add the weekend. Yeah, that makes sense. So we're saying don't count the weekend here against my schedule. Now, the min start time and max end time that are defined here are for May. Let's use July. And July? Yeah, we're through 31 days. We're good there. And this recurring schedule says I'm not available, right? Let's say status equals schedule status. Let's say that we are available. And let's say we're available in the... Let's change this. So it's at noon every day. And let's say we're available for 5 hours. Noon to 5 p.m. Right? From noon to 5 p.m. we're available. Okay? And actually, that'd be great to put on the name for this. Available from... And this is strictly a test. Right? So to have a little bit of description in the name will make it easier for us to locate and to follow along with the schedule later. So I think that works. So now, right, because we're in July, available from noon to 5 p.m. In July 2019. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're saying, hey, I'm not available over this weekend. And we're saying we're available every day over that. So that's 31 days. Okay. So it doesn't know what results is. Why doesn't it know? Oh, you know what? This is a link thing. And this should actually start coming up with some errors here for it. Yeah, see the red X is immediately popping up, showing, well, I didn't get 4. So let's do some math here, right? If we bring up the calendar, there it is, right? You go away. It's not going to come up. It's not going to show me the calendar without bringing up that. Okay, so if we look at this, I have 31 days, but I'm going to punch a hole for these 3, so I should have 28 days is the number of these that I should have, right? Because if I have 31 days and I'm going to remove the 19th, 20th, and 21st, right? Should have 28 days that it comes up with. And the start date time hour, it's actually going to be noon. So 100% sentiment, for a little bit. For a little bit. All right. So that makes a little bit of sense to me. I think we're okay with putting that. I think that's the right count we want there. But we're clearly not handling the count that's coming back here. I can actually look at the test here and see exactly what the error is. Let me bring this over. So tests in group 1 failed. And if I open that up, I can actually look at that one test here, expand it. There it is. And assert equal failure, expected 28, but it actually got 30. That tells me something also. Oh, wait. I have this max end time is 7:31. It's actually, right, not just 7:31. It's 7:31 at 23:59:59. Now I should get the actual is 31 down there. There it is. Because it was stopping at midnight, right, at the 0th minute of the 31st. We wanted to include the 31st. Okay, so I have that. So now I need to go back and I need to actually fix this test and punch that hole in the schedule. So I'm going to go back into the expand schedule method over here. Look at all the red X's. So it ran through a test here, and at least one of the tests that executes this failed. So after I've added schedule items and I've added recurring schedules, we need to inspect and add schedule exceptions. If schedule exceptions does not equal null, schedule exceptions out schedule. Well, I want to write out schedule is a collection of these time slot objects. And a time slot, just so you know what it is for a given for a given duration, I have some availability defined. So the schedule exception is going to look for any time slots that occur between those two times and delete them. So let's call that remove. Let's call it Apply schedule exceptions. Right, to out schedule. Okay. Fix that formatting. Thank you. Linky, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. Let me collapse up all that so we can see this a little bit better. So, here. All right. So, you see how all of these minuses have a clock next to it now? It's because it can't build. There's an error here. It doesn't know what to do with apply schedule exceptions. It doesn't know what that thing is. And because out schedule is a reference type, we'll pass that object by reference into this method. That means that I'll be able to change it, and it'll affect this version of the object here as well. So, let's create that method. There it is. And it's going to throw an error here. Well, this should compile now. Yeah, look at all the red X's because it's throwing an exception when it should be applying these. So, everywhere you go, Lil Cold, you see Linky. Well, welcome. Thanks for the PogChamp, Linky. I should run a poll at some point that that says, hey, what's your favorite programming language? I should do that. Oh, I had somebody, chat room, let me ask you. I had somebody ask me about creating cheer badges. Right, some of you have cheer badges because you've cheered a certain amount here in the channel. Right, DevLead has one there. I think we saw Fanny has one. A couple other folks have them. What would you think if I added some custom cheer badges for the channel? Hey, Pip Daddy G. Yes, it is Wednesday. It is hump day. Middle of the week. Halfway there. So if we're applying schedule exceptions, right, I need to apply it, well, not just to that schedule. I need to have the schedule that I'm applying it to. Right? So I'm going to need to pass that in also. And the start, yeah, I'm going to need the start and end time so that I know how wide to look on those schedule exceptions to apply. So let's make sure we add those items as well. Date, date time, start time. Let's call it start date. Date time, end date. Okay. So let's first identify the exceptions to apply. Hey! What was that? Exceptions is going to be, well, we want to look at the schedule, and I want to grab the schedule exceptions where, right? Let's see. The exception start date time is less than the end date submitted, and the exception end date time is greater than the start date submitted. Yeah. So this way now I've got those exceptions that overlap some part of it so we can play it out there. The Michael Jolly is here. Hello, hello. Welcome. Non-inclusive. Ooh, good point. Let's make those less than and equals. So we're and greater than or equals. So we're sure that we include those where they do overlap directly. Good point, Ultramark. Thank you for picking up on that. Points to Ultramark on that. For some reason, that coin play is always slow. Cheer badges is a nice idea. Can we get a null exception cheer badge? Says Angry Little Hamster. That's not a bad idea. I love the code references. But that's not a bad idea. Matrixy or something, kind of like the background over here. I don't know. We'll think about it. So that'll give me the list of exceptions we need to consider. Now we need to look at the time slots, right? So now I've taken all of this and consolidated it down into this collection of schedule exceptions. So now we need to take a look at the time slots. We should actually first make sure that there are any schedule exceptions to apply. So if the exceptions, if not, dot any. So if we didn't find any, return. Don't go any further. Fail fast, fail now, get out. Get out while you're ahead, kid. So my test is still broken here. It's still not doing what it should be doing. But we're going to inspect those exceptions now. Okay. So we're going to need to look at, we want to do almost a for loop on the exceptions and see if there's a collision and remove those. So there is a link method to do intersections. And I don't think an intersection is what we want to do here. We might want to do this. Produce the set difference between two sequences by using the default equality comparer. We might... I think we might want to do that. Cheer not found. A 404 code not found cheer. Ooh, I like that, Pip Daddy. Your clan group name in Rocket League is Hello World, says Johnny Sparkles, and your group initials are 404. Nice. Nice. 404 cheer not found. I do need to get those cheer badges moving. The cheer motes. So I want to get the C# logo spinning and a couple of different things. So let me see. I think I can do an except here. I think. Right? If I take... Can I take out schedule equals out schedule except, and it's an IEnumerable of type time slot. No, maybe I can't do that. Yeah. Maybe something like the old IE 404 error, but a cheer coin instead of a page. I think we... Alright, hang on. If we do this the old-fashioned way, we would do it with a for each across the exceptions. Right. In the exceptions. And we would want to do we'd want to find, right? So we would want to take out schedule. Right, we're going to do a where on where the time slot. Okay, here we go. T dot start date time is less than or equal to the schedule exception end date time. Same thing with end date time is greater than or equal to the schedule exception start date time. So that'll give us the collection of time slots to remove. Okay, right? If time slots to remove any, make sure we found some. We're going to say out schedule dot. Can I say remove and pass in? No, that's one item. Remove all. Removes all the elements that match the conditions defined by the specific predicate. Remove that is asking for an index. Remove range. No. I can say remove all and then how to match them. Oh, I can say contains T. And that should remove them, right? Does this work? Run the test, run the test, run the test. Right? That should run. Run it. I'm running it now. Come on now. What are you doing?
You can do it!
It didn't do it. And then we would need to inspect and figure out, well, why didn't it find it? Can't you just remove all instead of your where? Well, do the remove all, consolidate this down. Okay, hang on. Maybe you're onto something. Move this over here. Right, do that here. And then get rid of this, get rid of that. Right, out schedule, remove all where the time is. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not hopping down, it's not running the test in here is what I'm... Actually, I don't see it running any tests right now. Yeah, run the live unit test. Do it. Somehow I stopped it. Oop. There we go. Should see it run through here, and we should see some action on this. Hopefully. Still air. Ooh! We're close. We're close. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna need to step through it. Yeah. Let's take a look. So we're making sure that any of those overlap. I'm gonna put a breakpoint right here, and I'm going to go and find exactly, so I could click through this and say debug it right from here, and it'll stop right there, and we'll be able to inspect the time slot and figure out exactly which ones it's removing and which ones it's not. So it's setting up, it's building, it's wiring up the debugger, doing all the things, and there we go. Now we're paused. So if I take a look at the schedule, not the schedule. If I look at the out schedule, right now it's got 31 entries, and it only removed 2 of them because it got to 29. So the schedule exceptions that it found the 1, okay. And, oh my gosh, look at that! Because I have it ending at midnight Sunday morning. My test is wrong. My test is wrong. That's what's going on there. Right? Go back to this. Simple schedule exception. For the weekend? The end, right? We're coming home sometime in the evening. 23:59:59. Yeah, okay. Run the live unit test now, tough guy. I don't know why it stops like that.
Gareth Hubble just resubscribed for 13 months.
Gareth!
13 months? Wow.
Yeah, 13 months. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And we'll make a donation to Coder Dojo. Shame you can't have live unit testing. It's in the enterprise version. There's other plugins that you can get from some other folks that have similar features as well. Johnny Sparkle says, would love to stream a dev session, but I don't know where to start. Don't know if I have the jewels to do it. Bit too nervous to get started. Here's the thing. When you do a developer stream like this, folks want to see you succeed. They want to check out your application. They want to learn a little bit with you. They want you to succeed. There's no shame. My gosh, the number of times that I've had things blow up in my face on here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Angry Little Hamster asks, what about all-day events may need another test? That's a good point. What if we do have an all-day event? So should remove time slots over the weekend. That worked. Let's put together another one here. I think our friend Angry Little Hamster there. Love the name.
People know me.
People know Angry Little Hamster. Should handle all-day events. Now, to be clear, right, is that all-day Saturday that we're removing? Something I found is that the vast majority of people who watch will only want to help and be awesome. Treat it like a bit of a chat and a laugh. If something happens, then even better. Yes! Is this the same hamster that's on a piano? I think that hamster is actually happy because it has some popcorn. So, that's a different hamster.
60% of the time, it works every time.
There you go. Alright. So if we're going to handle an all-day event, instead of just having a recurring schedule, maybe we have a schedule item. So that is over that weekend that we're going to remove. So if we set up, let's define a new schedule here. Right, let's arrange this. And I'll label it there. I've got an extra curly brace here somewhere. That's that one, that's that one. There we go. And this is just schedule. We'll call it the schedule. There we go. Okay, so this will be available on July 20, right? So if we set the minimum start time as July 20, and we'll make it July 20, 23, 59, 59, so it's the full day, and that's a recurring. Actually, that's not a recurring schedule. Bad idea. Bad idea. Hang on. Schedule items. New. List of type schedule item. Okay. New schedule item, and let's define that 24-hour thing. Dance marathon. Right? I don't know, something like that. Start date time, we'll make that a new date. 2019 7/20th. That's right in the middle of our schedule exception. And I don't have to give it a start time. We'll have it start at midnight, so it's the full day. End date time equals new date time 2019, and I'll just say 7/21. So it goes from midnight on 20th to midnight on 21st. Anything else we need to put in there? Status equals. Hey Joe, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us here in the chat on the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. And I'll say not available. Okay. What if we have an all-day property on the schedule? I don't like that. Because you still have to put in a start time and a start date and an end date. So why not just include the time part? You're already allocating memory for it. You're allocating extra memory just to put a checkbox that says all day. Okay, so there's my one schedule item. Right, and if I add schedule exceptions, new list, schedule exception. And if we put the, right, the weekend in there. Oh, sorry, the weekend, and it flips the state of that. Johnny Sparkles, you may see a stream from them at some point. Use their love of cats and data to create a web app to log details on any fight that might happen and allow the Guardian to pinpoint root causes to put a stop to them. Oh, neat. Okay. Is the user going to remember to set the end time to 11:59? No, that I think is a user interface concern. This is strictly a data concern. So there's my schedule. let's act on the schedule. So, no, back over here. Right? So I'm going to do that. So the amount that comes out of this now should be 0. Okay, so what are we hitting there? Oh, I'm not referencing the right schedule. This should be the schedule. There we go. So the schedule says I have one schedule item. I have the dance marathon that I'm not available for. Oh, but I've got a schedule exception. I am available this weekend. And we'll flip it. Right, because the schedule exception says flip the state. So there we go. All right. So that works. Why am I getting a green underline? Do not use assert equal to checks. Okay, fine. What should I be doing? Use assert empty. Oh, fine. There we go. So now we're handling schedule exceptions properly inside of the calendar. Now we need to look at not just applying to one schedule. Now we need to look at, for a manager view, applying to many schedules. Be able to expand all of those for a given, in this case, we're trying to show a week's schedule. So for that given week, we want to look at all of the employees, all of their schedules, and expand it for just that week. Now, our schedule calculation is really fast, 28 milliseconds, 22 milliseconds to do this applying. Some of our other tests down here where we're doing more tests are very, very fast, lightning quick. So I don't think we'll have a problem expanding a dozen schedules for that given time period. And I think that'll be real easy for us to calculate, look at, and decide how much we need to apply that to. Ultramark says, in one project we resorted to using datetime extensions like is before or on or is after, allowing you to write code like schedule date is on or after exception date, which made the intention pretty clear. That's not bad. Ultramark, if you don't mind, can I borrow? Can I use that set? Can I create an issue? Let's define those extension methods. That's not bad. What about OA date? What do you mean OA date? What's OA date? What am I missing there? Am I missing something? System to OLE automation date. Why? I don't need Noda time yet. Noda time is really great for managing time zones and daylight savings time. For this organization and for what they're trying to do, they're only open from 8 in the morning till about 5 in the afternoon. So there's no need to think about those outlier times and dates where daylight savings changes or in different time zones. I'm going to abide by the principle of Yagni here. You aren't going to need it. And for this organization to do the minimum viable, don't need it yet. We will at some point when we get into larger organizations that span across time zones. 2 days after, yeah. If you don't mind, I'd like to add, where'd it go? I don't have resource management up there. No, I want to click into that repository, darn it. Issues. Oh, good. Some discussion on some of these other things going on. Good, good. Date, time, type, extension methods. It would be great to have some extension methods on the date time object to assist with the regular date calculations. Performed in this project, in this application. I'm sure there's a library that somebody's written to do this. So I'm going to mark this as help wanted. It's an enhancement. And if anybody can help out with that, that would be terrific. Okay. Think one should still use daytime offset, at least as hosting is UTC. I tend to store dates in UTC and have display adjust them to local. Well, for what we're doing right now, I can be time zoneless because everything's in the same time zone.
Doing the work and art forward. Hope you are doing well, Fritz.
Thanks so much, Art for the Apocalypse. Yes, I'm doing quite well. I'm going to drop in an entry for that cheer. Let's put it right here in this method we were working on. Thanks so much. And we'll make a donation. Apocalypse. There we go. And we'll make a donation to Coder Dojo. Thanks so much for that. That very kind cheer. If you're hosting on Azure, all services will be in UTC. Actually, you can set the server's time zone if you'd like. But there's different considerations for that as well. But since I'm all in the same time zone here, I'm storing local time, whatever local time might be that these folks key in. So I'm handling all day events. Now I need to do the calculate total availability, which means that for a given time span, for a given granularity, I need to calculate how many folks are available and not available at that time. So this is going to be a little bit bigger here. So let's add another folder here. Given employee schedules, right? Right. I want a class in here. When calculating availability, when calculating total availability, Namazri asks, when will the ASP.NET Core workshop be available on YouTube? I need to do some editing, and editing that video. That video is 8 gig. So I'm going to be editing out the time we spent with Scott working on Visual Studio Code and debugging and figuring out why that didn't work. That's not helpful to the overall workshop. I'm also going to edit out the times that I stepped away and we had the be right back messages up, and I will be uploading it. If you're interested and you want to see the new ASP.NET Core workshop, you can click the videos link up above. It is available here on Twitch, but we'll have it on YouTube as soon as I'm done editing it. And that could be later today, tomorrow. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to get that done. It's not as simple as just storing it in UTC, even when you cross time zones. Yes. And I'm going to catch somebody just tried to lurk into the chat room. I'm going to call her out on it. I know she's right there. I see her in the log. She just joined. Yeah. Don't think I didn't see you there. Don't think it. I'm gonna
Bueller?
call. No, it's not Bueller.
Bueller?
No, it's not Bueller. That Junie Von Esch just snuck in. Don't say anything. Don't call her out. Don't embarrass her. But she's here.
And then?
Yes, and then we need to do this calculation. We need to start calculating folks' availability. I'm going to do this test first. Yeah, the Junie Von Esch, the one and only of the Chicago Von Esches. just learned that Von Esch isn't really her name. Don't tell anybody that. All right, so I'm gonna write this method. I'm gonna do a little test first development of this. I'm gonna write the tests, and then I'll go back and write the signature to actually generate what it is that we're looking for here.
And then?
We'll make the test pass. Trust me, connectivity is very poor, and added to the advertisements on Twitch are overlaid. Ah, understood. Not a problem, Namasri. If you're following me on Twitter, if you're subscribed on YouTube, you'll get the notification when it gets posted. I'll see what I can do to get some of those edits done this afternoon and get something posted so that so it's available for you. I feel any of the C-based languages are a good starting point. Yes. And then DJ Spin Doctor Fritzy Fritz voiceover master. Thank you, Junie. I do a little bit of voiceover recordings. Yes. Hey, Sugar Skull 4. Hello. With the Overwatch League badge there. Nice. Nice. Love me some Overwatch League. Can't wait to see when my Philadelphia Fusion come to our town and get to play a home match next year in 2020. It's going to be tremendous. And I like that we're still partnered up with Washington in the same division. So, yeah. Washington and Atlanta, oh, it's going to be a bloodbath. We're going to beat up on those two towns real good. Oh, you're a Houston Outlaw fan? Uh-oh. What do you mean your team is in limbo? Hey, Douglas, good to see you. What do you mean your team's in limbo? Optic Gaming got bought out. Okay. So what, they're thinking about not bringing back the Overwatch team? And they're going to sell the Overwatch League spot. Oh no. Wow. All right. So let's see if we can work this back just a little bit here. So when calculating total availability, then should report at the green and at the green requested. Let's start there. Right, we'll make this a fact. Right. So the little fact attribute there says this is a test, and I'm going to start off just by assert fail. Right? Don't you assert false? There, that's what I want. No. I thought there was a way to just say assert fail. This fails. Not equal, not null, null, raises. No. Okay. Just to make sure this is broken, right? That should run. I should get a unit test. It should start appearing in my live unit testing down here. And we should get it working. Tommy K9991 asks, are unit tests compiled in the release? Yes, unit tests are compiled. In fact, I have Azure DevOps running, doing continuous integration checks, making sure that all of my unit tests pass for every pull request, for every commit that we send in. So you'll see these things run properly. And you'll see in the project out on GitHub that they're compiling and they're being executed. And they should run against the release version at that time. So, thanks for the question. I appreciate it. Nothing worse than when Azure DevOps mails you to say there was a broken test. Yeah. That feels bad. It should mail the person that committed and broke the code, but no. All right, so if I'm looking at, right, we have our schedule manager object. It is right here. Let's remove that breakpoint. Our schedule manager knows how to do a bunch of different things around working with schedules. And right now it has this one method, expand schedule. I think we want to write a method here called expand or calculate availability. Right? Arrange, assert, act. Okay, so we know that it's actually running and compiling here. So I'm going to remove that now. It should come back and this should go green. Yep, there it is. Because it works. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to say results equals schedule manage. Pardon me. Right. This is. Let me alias that. Let's do this. Now, let's call this scheduling. Equals scheduling dot schedule manager, and right. This right now has an expand schedule method. Let's call it calculate. Right, I said calculate availability. Availability. There we go. And we're going to pass in some collection of schedules, my schedules, and we need to give it a date range to go over to calculate across. So let's say start date, end date. Yeah. Are unit tests needed in the final product? No, but while you're compiling and getting ready to deliver the final product, you don't want to you don't compile them into the final product. They're actually sitting here. You can see just above me, here in the Solution Explorer, just above my head. The tests are in a separate project, so they'll be available as a separate DLL. This way, you can actually take them and almost like a test kit, go over to a deployment of this, run the tests against the version that's deployed wherever it is, and make sure they still work. So, and gated check-ins would be an amazing thing here, but I think we're doing that a little bit with gated pull requests. So I want to pass in a collection of schedules and a start date and an end date to calculate the availability across. So what if we say start date equals date time. Nah, let's give it a fixed time range to go across. So let's say we go, today's the 17th, 16th. Let's say we start on the 14th, so we start on Sunday, and we'll go to the following Sunday. So we'll say var end date equals new date time 2019 7/21. Okay, so I've got a week that I'm going to look across, because I want to go Sunday through Saturday, not including the following Sunday. So I have those. My schedules is going to need to be some sort of a list of schedules. I don't know what's in that yet. Right, but I've got a collection of schedules that we're going to go across. Hello, I put a using statement in there. Thank you. And I need an equals. Okay. So these three things all exist. Now we need this method. Check this out. Control dot generate the method. Boom. Okay. We also, oh gosh, we're going to need to define the grain. Right? How many people are available for this time unit? Yeah. Right? So I think I need another enumeration. Right, I've got things like person type here, schedule status. Let's call this time unit. Right, this is the green. How granular are you looking at availability? So I want to go across. I think we want to look at each hour. Maybe it's even each half hour. Hour. Day, week. Week might be much. Let's just stop at day. Yeah, I think that'll be enough. And I'm going to move this into its own file. There it goes. Okay. So I need to specify the granularity. And for this, let's specify time unit, and let's say each hour. So I need to add that time unit into the schedule manager signature over here. Green. Okay. So it's returning some object. I can just remove this, and at this point, my tests work. It's not the way it should be working, but it works. Right? I'm getting a not implemented exception where. That should work, right? Right there. Oh, it's not returning anything. Right? So now it's returning something, and it works. Test pass. But it doesn't work the way that I want it to work, you know? I'm like cheating at this point. So for 7 days, each hour of those 7 days. And actually, there's a min time of the day and an end time of the day that I want to look at, isn't there? Right, because I want to test from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the model that we're going after. So those are probably time spans, right? Start time equals right, time of day is it's a time span, isn't it? Time span from hours. Yeah. So if we start at 8 a.m., end time is going to be time span from hours, and we're going to end at, let's say, 5 p.m. That's not the right 5 p.m. Add 12, 17. So let's add those in. Start time, end time. And I need to add those here. Time span, start time, time span, end time. Okay. So everything should work again, should compile. We should see these all go green. There we go. All right. So if I'm going from 8 to 5, that's 9 hours? 9 hours across 7 days, right? 7 days. So we want to say assert dot equal. We're expecting 7 times 8. We're expecting 56. And the actual is going to be results.count. Count doesn't exist because, yeah, that's fine. The only girl in the game. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you joining us. And folks of all genders are always welcome here. There is, yeah, not a problem. Time spans are for for intervals or periods, not for an hour. Okay, fine. 8. Let's make this start hour, end hour, and we'll make this just 17. Right? That's a very good point. I don't need an int. I can make these a short. I could even make these a byte, couldn't I? If these are hours. Right, so they don't go crazy here. Right, byte only goes to plus or minus 32. So that's fine. This is going to be some sort of a collection that's going to be returned. So let's just say object like that. So that it's returning the appropriate thing here. It should run that test, right? That we can put a using statement on, and it should run through and say, did we get 56 each hour calculations coming out? And am I getting a build error here? I'm seeing the little time deal. I think I have a build mistake. Let's see here. Build failed. Okay. The field logger factory is never used. That's fine. Never used. So where's the build error? Warning. Ah, start time, end time don't exist in... Right. I changed the name of those and they don't exist. Nebro asks, which tool are you using which shows you the little green tick and red cross on failed unit test? That's live unit testing in Visual Studio 2019. And... Right. Building. Right, this should come back and fail. Here. It says it's running the test, but we should get it to fail now because it didn't return. Right? Looks like there was an error there. Build failed. Is it because I made those bytes? Yeah. Right. What's the suffix to make it a byte? Right? C#, numeric, suffix. Right, because you put M to make things decimal. There you go. How do I make it a byte? Float, double, int. No, we're going to have to force it. So, if I do that... There we go. Now we got some red X's. Now we got the assert equal failure. Return 0 object. So we need to define now, what's the object that says how many folks are available? Is it just a collection of integers? Well, it's not just a collection of integers, because we also need to have the start date time, end date time for that block that's being returned, that we're declaring the availability of. So we need some sort of, it's not just a time slot, but it's like a time slot availability. Can we do that? Can we have time slot availability and have it inherit from time slot? And just add a property here for the count of the folks with that availability. I think that works. So then this will return an array of time slot availability. And maybe not even an array, right? Maybe it's an IEnumerable. Because we're going to be doing this probably in a list that we're going to collect those things. So time slot availability. So we're returning that collection of these. It should still return and say, oh, I wasn't able to calculate that correctly. There we go. So I'm still getting a 0. It hasn't actually done the calculation yet. We've now got to start doing the calculation. That's the next piece to do, is actually going through and looking at these schedules and looking at each hour and counting how many folks are available each hour of each day that's being requested. That's like a set-based operation, something that we would do in a database. And it's going to take a little bit of horsepower here to push that through. I feel like that's something we could even do in parallel, expanding people's schedules and adding them to the collection. That way, we get a little bit of benefit from having a multi-core machine running some of this, right? Multiple threads, multiple processes, calculating exactly how many folks are available. But I'm looking at the time, we're about a half hour after I really wanted to go until today. So I think I want to pause here. I want to stop where we are today and we can come back to this next time. So let's check in these changes. Let's clean up. Ah, Johnny Sparkles is just finishing up from work also. There you go. So it's the right time to finish up. So let's run a quick git status here. We've got our new unit tests that we've added. I'm going to do a blanket git add here. Started work on calculating employee availability. Which really is going to be just take the availability calculation that we do have and just aggregate it at a different grain and inspect it for each, in our case, hour to start here, and push that around, drop those into an array so that we can inspect it. Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you for the kind words and the great chat today. This was fun. That code is available in my private GitHub repository in the C# Fritz project. But I want to set up for a raid, and I want to raid somebody that we haven't raided in a while. They're actually taking a look at stuff around the Apollo moon missions right now. Get ready. I want you to turn down your volume just a little bit, because if you think I'm loud, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let's get the raid call started here. If you're a subscriber, grab that first line of text out of chat. If you're not, grab the second line of text out of there. We're going to announce our presence as we go and raid Bonsai Baby. I love the science talk. She's doing some really great stuff today. Promoting Kennedy Space Center, promoting NASA, and the 50th anniversary of man landing on the moon. So let's set up for that raid. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Get ready to go over and say hello to Bonsai Baby. I'm going to work on editing that workshop video so that it's available for you later. I hope you join me on Friday. We'll do our Blazor workshop then. And I will see you tomorrow for more work on this project. Alrighty, friends. Get ready to say hi to Bonsai Baby and take care. Alright? We'll see you.